I've been looking for the master link on this chain and I don't see it. I've gone all the way around a couple of times and I just don't see it. So we're gonna have to cut the chain off. And this chain is really worn out. You can see that, and see this one here and this one here and this one here. They're actually missing the tubular bearing or whatever that's supposed to go over the pin. That's just the pin right there. There's nothing there. And look how sharp these teeth are on the sprocket. That one's even chipped right there. See, no bearing, no bearing, no bearing, no bearing, no bearing, bearing, no bearing, bearing, bearing. Very bad chain. If it were to break off, it could take out the motor, it could take off the driver's leg, it could shoot off behind, take out a car. So you really don't want a chain to break on a motorcycle, especially driving down the highway at high rate of speed. So we ordered a new chain and sprocket on the internet. New chain. New back sprocket. Back brake pads. And the front sprocket. I'm going to try to grind 2 of the pins out with this cutoff wheel and then knock the pin out with a punch. And if that doesn't work, I'm just going to cut the whole chain right off. I don't care. Well, that was easy enough. I think you're supposed to be able to tell how bad a chain is by how much it sags. I think they're supposed to measure like over a 20-inch space. It's probably supposed to be like that, but this one is like that. Obviously bad. This is kind of what the chain looks like. I've always heard of sealed bearings. It's got like almost a rubber. It is rubber. It's like a little O-ring. And just for my own curiosity, I want to check that chain and see if there really is a master link on it. I don't think there is. And there we go. We're looking down the chain for the master link. And it looks different because there's a slider that goes across the top of it. And I am not seeing it. Nope. No master. I'll flip it over and double check the other side. And go back on it. And no, I do not see it. They're pretty identifiable. Maybe not too easy to see when they're greased up, but when they're brand new, they're there, but I don't see it. Now we're going to take the back tire off so that we can put the sprocket on and also do the back brakes at the same time. We're going to take this quarter pin off. And pull it out. 15/16 wrench with a 17 millimeter on the other side. I'm holding the other side with the socket wrench and finish unthreading this, the nut. If we just can lift the tire up enough to take the pressure off the rod, we should be able to get it off. Now if we can just lift this tire up enough, I'm going to rest it on my knee here and take the pressure off so I can pull the pin out. Now I'm lifting the brake off and just set it up over here for now. Bend the wheel and get it out. It's probably easier to lift the tire up using a breaker bar. Socket's going to give you a lot of grief. These are nylon washers so they don't come off, but they're also hard to come off. Now let's do a comparison of the new one. Look how sharp these are compared to these. Looking to see if there's a stamp, and there it is, 41. This says 042, so I'm not sure if they're the same or not. Nothing on that side. It just says 41 on this side, and this says RSO42. But anyway, this had the, you can tell where the bolts were, and this was the outside, and this is the outside of this, so this is what I'm going to put it on, just like so. And put all these back. Just going to put a shot of lithium grease on it. I probably should use high temperature grease, but I don't have any, and lithium is probably the next best thing. I'm being careful not to shoot and get it on the disc, brake disc. I'm just going to barely snug them up on this first time around. Now in order to get to this front sprocket, you've got to take this cover here right off. And that is done with this socket wrench with the 8mm on with the extension. And make sure you got it in reverse. Now I'm hoping I can get this off without having to take all this other stuff off, but I'll know in a second. I didn't have to take that off after all. Now be careful you don't do what I did, is try to take things off that aren't needed. Like this one here I tried to loosen, and one down here I tried to loosen by mistake. They're not part of the four that are related to this cover. So be careful about that. It's probably a good idea to put the bike in gear so the sprocket doesn't turn. I have a feeling these are reverse threads. No, I don't know. Let's get it the regular. Yeah, it is an 8, but you gotta be careful. Make sure you get it on the screw all the way. And they're really short screws. And if you can't get the bolt out of the socket, just thread it back in a little bit. And then wiggle the socket. And you can get it off. And then you can take it off by hand. This thing here is in a ring. You can't just pull it straight off. There's a little like gears it has to line up with to get it off. So there's actually a cut in this piece here. Once you put it on, you have to rotate it so there's no way it can come off. And then pull this gear off. Well, this is different. My new one doesn't have a recessed area. It's got the number stamped on the outside, so I'm assuming that's going to be the correct way. And let's see if it lines up. This says SFO30. This says 16T. That's all I can find on it. So I'm going to guess this is the outside because the stamp is usually on the outside. And it just slides on. And put your little pin bracket back on it and kind of put a couple teeth over from your where it lines up. Put it in the gear and put the screws back. When I say screws, I really mean small bolts. You want to get them snug, but don't snap them off. I don't know the torque specs. I don't even have a torque wrench, so I can't tell you for sure. Now normally if I wasn't doing the back brake, I would go ahead and put the chain on right now, put the tire back on, the chain on, before I put this back on. But I'm going to go ahead and do that back brake. And all I've done so far is just put a clamp across it using the old brake pads that are still on here. And I'm just tightening it all the way up. See how these are recessing down in? Once I get it all the way down, I take the clamp back off. You kind of want to go kind of slow. There's the inner one, pretty shot. There you go. And the outer one, pretty shot also. I'm cutting the new ones out of the container and do a quick comparison to them. Try not to put your greasy fingers on the pads themselves. The back one is the smaller one, and make sure you don't put it in upside down. You can kind of tell by the cutout on the plate here. These little grooves are near the top, and it just drops right in. It's always easier said than done, but you just slide in. And the other one, these are the parts that go, the round circles go over these pins here. And this is kind of a pain to get it in. But you just kind of get one side up, on, and then fight the other side, which in this case went pretty easy.